This video is going to talk about your menstrual cycle and histamines. It's fairly new to me, but it's so mind-bending that I wanted to give you the information so you can go look it up too, because it's so interesting. But I wanted to give you some chunks to like get you intrigued. Get ready. Lately, my periods have been really crazy, and in the luteal cycle, they've been really crazy. So that's like the 7 to 14 days before your period happens. And someone recently here on the talk said, have you ever looked into histamines and your luteal cycle? And I said, I've heard of it, but I've never really looked into it. Because I get rage, I get migraines, I get all these things. And as I get older, I'll be 44, those things are only getting worse. Histamine is part of our immune system, but it has a strong connection to our hormones. Mast cells are a type of white blood cell, one of our immune cells, with tons of different receptors that can bind different things and trigger the release of its contents. Histamine being one of them. When we are specifically talking about our hormones, mast cells have a receptor for one of our reproductive hormones, estrogen. When we think about our menstrual cycle, we want to think about what our hormones are doing at the different parts of the cycle and what may influence how we feel those hormonal shifts. I know you know what I'm talking about. When we think about a typical cycle, our cycle, day one, begins at the onset of menses. Our hormones are relatively pretty low at this time. But as the body prepares for ovulation, we start to see some hormonal changes, including an increase in estrogen. This peak in estrogen is extremely important as it triggers the LH surge, which is needed to kick the egg out of its follicle for ovulation. What we can see is that in some women, when we see this surge in estrogen, we can also see a surge in histamine. A surge in histamine can then also signal to the ovaries to make more estrogen, and we get stuck in a dysfunctional loop. It's not just in our brains. This can then throw off the symptoms we experience in the second half of our cycle, called the luteal phase, and how we experience the hormonal fluctuations that occur in that second half of the cycle, which is typically dominated by the hormone progesterone. In someone whose histamine bucket who is already full, this extra histamine overload is enough to aggravate PMS symptoms and mood changes in the second half of the cycle. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't need any more aggravation. So let me tell you what some of the symptoms are. Breast tenderness, mood swings, headaches, bloating, all the normal stuff, but I don't know again about you, but I get everything tenfold, especially the irritability part. Mood swings, like they say mood swings, and that sounds kind of fluffy. That's not what goes down here. It's also interesting to note that as estrogen levels become erratic in perimenopause, we can see a dramatic change as well with how histamine is involved and the symptoms a woman may experience through this period of life. This might be the key to not getting a divorce. Hormones and histamine have a very close link, especially in relation to estrogen. If your hormone bucket is full, you may not tolerate estrogen fluctuations seamlessly, and we know how they fluctuate. This response varies significantly, they say, from individual to individual. So you got to get to the nitty-gritty of it. And they also say that allergies and nasal congestion and other things that you just kind of go oh, I'm allergic to X, Y, and Z. Those are indicators that you're already on that brink of this affects me in a physical way, but but this kind of stuff can affect you emotionally and physically. Comment to me and let me know what you guys have done in this area, because I did some taking out of some foods and my energy has been up. I have not felt like I wanted to kill anybody. My patience has been better, and I'm trying to feed into the fact that this could be an every month occurrence. Now, I had to cut out some of my favorite things like avocado and tomatoes. Come on, I had to, but not all the time, just during the luteal phase, so I got to play around with it. But this is interesting. Do you guys know about this? Are you guys doing this? Am I last on the train? Talk to me.